Hey there, you're listening to the Girls Talking Life podcast, and I'm your host, Johanna. If you're like me, you love time with friends. I always leave feeling encouraged, inspired to try something different, or I've learned something new. So why not continue to grow even when we can't be with our girlfriends? We're not made to do life on our own. So in each episode of this show, I'll bring you a girl and her story to give you refreshing ideas to stir your soul. Let's walk this road together. Are you ready to talk life? Welcome to the show. I am so glad you're here. We've been in a series on cultivating community, creating meaningful connections, and building lasting friendships. And I hope you've been inspired, and I bet you're craving this connection just like I am. You've been meaning to get together with your girlfriends, but you need some motivation to get back to gathering after being isolated for much of the last year. Or maybe it makes you a little sweaty thinking about getting a group of women together. Or maybe you just need some fresh ideas to make your gatherings more meaningful. Well, I've created the Gathering Project just for you. It is a 5-day experience to plan, prep, and gather with your girlfriends. When my family moved to Columbus 9 years ago, I befriended the sweetest women. They invited me in, and I felt so loved by their hospitality, and I admired their gifting so much that I studied their hostess skills. I wanted to be able to create the warmth and meaning in my own gatherings just the way they did. So with their help, with my own experiences and some other expert people gatherers, this workshop was born. The Gathering Project begins on March 15th, but you can register for it today at girlstalkinglife.com/thegatheringproject. If you join me, you will get 5 days of coaching videos, a 12-page workbook called the Girls Gathering Guide, and the Girls Talking Life conversation cards, and also access to a private Facebook group for real-time interactions with me and other group members for support, ideas, and encouragement. I am offering listeners, that's you, a code for half off the registration. Use code GTL50 at checkout for 50% off. My mission is to help you gather, have conversations, create meaningful connections, and build lasting friendships. You are going to love my conversation today. I am talking with Melanie Dale about mom friends, how we make them, why we need them, and how it helps our kids. Melanie is the author of 4 books, including Calm the Heck Down, How to Let Go and Lighten Up About Parenting. She's a staff writer for Coffee and Crumbs, hosts the podcast Lighten Up with Melanie Dale, and has contributed writing to everything from the Encourage devotional Bible to Shutter's Creep Show. She lives in the Atlanta area with her husband of 20 years and their 3 kids from 3 different continents. Everything Melanie and I talk about can be found in the show notes for today's episode on girlstalkinglife.com. Let's dive in. Hey, Melanie, thanks so much for coming on Girls Talking Life.
Thanks for having me.
I am thrilled to be talking with you today. I've been reading your books, Melanie, and they are laugh out loud funny.
Yay. Oh, that makes me so happy.
Go ahead and just tell me where you are in the world, who you're with there, and what you do.
Yeah, I live in the Atlanta area, and I have 3 kids. They're 3 kids in 3 schools. So I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and a 5th grader. Last year of elementary school for us. And I have been married to my college sweetheart for 20 years.
Well, like I said, your books are very funny. Are you funny in person?
Oh gosh, I'm afraid to answer that. I mean, some people would probably say yes. My kids would probably say no. They don't think I'm very funny. They're like, haha, you're hilarious. Right. Yeah. The other day, my daughter was like, Daddy's the funny one. And I was like, so offended. I was like, oh, but I'm supposed to be the funny one. No, Dad is like intense and I'm funny, but it doesn't ever work to like claim yourself being funny,
That's true. That's true. I was reading just in my living room, reading and laughing out loud. And my husband is like, what are you doing over there? What is so funny?
Well, I had a good friend, this was years ago, a good friend. At one point we were talking and she was like, I guess you're funnier in writing, huh? And I was like, ow. So I don't know. I think I write funny. And then in person, it just depends on the day, probably.
All right. Well, I'm beyond excited to talk to you. We are talking about being friends today. And you have written a book on parenting with a chapter on friendships, and then also a whole book on finding mom friends.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you because this new book that I have is called Calm the Heck Down, and it's my fourth book. And so I love that today you and I are going to talk about my latest book, Calm the Heck Down, but then also all the way back to the beginning, Women Are Scary, which came out back in 2015. So I feel like I'm getting to kind of bookend my writing with you today a little bit. That's so fun.
Yeah, well, tell me how you came to write a book back in 2015 about moms and friends.
Yeah. So back in 2015, I had a book come out that's, the subtitle is The Totally Awkward Adventure of Finding Mom Friends. And, it kind of came out. I was blogging at the time. I blogged for years, and, I wrote a blog post called Dating for Moms back in, 2012, 2013. And I started getting all of these questions online about mom dating. And I was like, gosh, am I like the relationship expert for moms now? That is like crazy. So I started answering people, and I started writing down my thoughts on how I have developed my friendships over the years. And it kind of became Women Are Scary, a whole book about friendships with other moms, because I found in my friendships that, when you throw kids in the mix, it adds a whole new element to your relationships. So I wrote a whole book about it. Yeah. And it started as a blog post.
Wow. People must have really needed that.
Well, I think that's what's interesting. I had no idea that it was going to resonate like that. I just thought I was going to write a funny post just to make moms laugh and be like, oh, ha, ha. But then when it went viral and so many people were writing in, I realized like a lot of the things that I've dealt with and the things that I've struggled with, that's so normal. And everyone is dealing with that. And everyone is working on their relationships. I realized that this universal thing that we all go through.
So why is it so important for moms to have other mom friends?
Yeah, I think for one, we want to model healthy relationships to our kids. We want our kids to have healthy friendships. And so we need to have healthy friendships. We don't want to just back burner our relationships and focus on our kids' relationships for 18 years. We want to like make sure that we're also developing friendships, and that our kids are seeing us work on our relationships and prioritize our relationships. I think also when I hang out with my mom friends, I realize that I'm not alone, that, what we're going through, other people are going through it as well. And that we're okay, that we're going to make it, And so when I get together with other moms, so much of the stress that I hold as a parent just kind of slides off of me. And I realize we're going to be okay, and we're not alone. Yes. And then I also just think hanging out with other friends it's fun. It's no good to parent in a vacuum. So I think my mom friends actually make me a better parent.
I completely agree with that. And as you were saying, developing those healthy relationships and modeling that for our kids, that's actually part of what you talk about in Calm the Heck Down. So you're saying that making mom friends and leaving our kids to spend time with those friends is actually a good idea.
Absolutely. 100%. I think we need to do that in order to be a good mom. Yeah. I know that like tonight, I am going to go and sit outside and enjoy a little bit of time one-on-one with a neighbor. And I've been looking forward to that for a week, just to have an hour hanging out on a patio with a friend and having a conversation. And I know I'm going to come home and I'm going to be rejuvenated and ready to get back into parenting after I do that.
Sometimes I feel guilty for taking time away. I think that's a buzzword, a problem for a lot of moms. So you giving us permission to actually go away, to come back to be a better mom, makes me feel so happy.
Yes, absolutely. Do it.
In your Women Are Scary book, you talk about bases of friendship. First base, second base. Talk to me about what those are.
Yeah, I kind of created the dating bases, but I redefined them for mom friends. So we have the dating bases from high school. It's not those, don't worry. But I kind of realized that most of my relationships go through about 4 phases or bases. So we round the bases as mom friends. So first base is just you show up at your kid's dance class or soccer practice or baby time at the library or whatever your kids are involved in. You just show up. You're not really looking looking for friendships. You just show up and you're thrust into a room with other parents waiting. And that's first base. It's the base of small talk. It's, the awkward small talk. It's making eye contact with other people. And so you might strike up a conversation with one of the other parents in that room while you're waiting on your kids who are doing a shared activity. And so that's first base. And it's really a chance to just kind of get to know the other parents in the room. It's okay to just be on your phone the whole time. Sometimes I do that too, but if we can put our phones down for a minute or, just to strike up a conversation with somebody in the room, we may find ourselves headed to second base. And second base, you're a little bit more intentional. You actually make a plan with another parent to meet somewhere in a neutral location, like a park or, I live in Atlanta, so the Chick-fil-A Playland is always like a big deal. But you go somewhere, you meet somewhere with another parent, and you've intentionally decided to get to know each other a little bit more. So your kids play and you spend more time in conversation, getting to know each other. That's second base. Third base, you're going to bring her back to your place, or you'll go to her place. And so third base, you're a little bit more intimate. You're actually maybe gonna show her the dirty dishes that you have in the sink, or like the pile of jammies that are still on the floor from when you peeled them off your toddler that morning. That you see each other's homes and you get to know each other like on a deeper level. It's a little bit more vulnerable at that point. Your kid may have to learn how to share his toys, and that is a whole new level of drama. So at that point, you're in each other's homes. It's more vulnerable, and it's going to be a deeper friendship. And then if that goes well, fourth base or home base is when you don't even need the kids anymore. You ditch the kids and you go out for mom's night out, or you meet somewhere while the kids are at preschool. You get to know each other just as women. And you don't even need the kids. It's not even about a play date at that point. It's about just hanging out because you really like each other. And the way that I always know that someone is a fourth base friend is when I actually want to spend that time with her, because as moms, we have very little time to ourselves. So if I actually want to spend some of my very little hard-earned alone time with another mom, then I know that she must be really special and that I really want to invest in that relationship. So that's the basis.
All right. So how do you go from a first base friend, someone you're just meeting up with already, to a third or fourth base friend, someone who's in your more intimate space?
Yeah. It's going to look different from everyone, but I do think there are a few things that can help when you're on that first base of just getting to know people. I think it's important to put yourself out there. There are a couple different kinds of people in the world. There are the initiators, and then the ones who aren't really good at initiating. And so, if you're an initiator, first of all, thank you. You have a superpower that not everyone has. And, so thank you on behalf of everyone for putting yourself out there and being willing to strike up a conversation, being willing to maybe invite someone to second base to go to a park or get to know each other more. And so you're putting yourself out there. And then for those of us who are not initiators, I think we need to really force ourselves to say yes once in a while. We don't have to say yes to everything, but maybe once in a while we say yes and we step up and we agree to meet someone somewhere, that we agree to get to know someone a little bit more. So first base, if that goes well and you actually put yourself out there and you actually make the time, then I think on second base, that's where, as you're getting to know someone, I like to use what I call the wow, that's so awesome approach. I think as you're getting to know other moms, there are these hot button issues and there are these choices that we make for our families, and they can become like sticking points if we go in and we get defensive. And so as you're getting to know another mom, if we kind of approach another mom with the wow, that's so awesome approach, it allows us to develop trust. And so what wow, that's so awesome is when another mom starts to tell you her very researched and exciting opinion about something, instead of immediately jumping in with our own better opinion about whatever it is, say, wow, that's so awesome. Tell me more about how you decided on that. Tell me more about what led you to that. And when we do that, we're not agreeing with everything everyone says, but we're just giving people a chance to let the relationship breathe and to develop trust and to go, okay, I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to learn from you. And I want to know about you. And even if we may parent a little bit differently, I'm interested in what you have to say. And I care about you. And this is a safe place to be able to talk about that. And so I think that when we can give each other a little bit of room to let the relationship breathe and develop trust, then that is what can lead us into a little bit of a deeper relationship where we might make it to the third base or the fourth base friendships. So yeah, I think it's about developing developing trust and developing a safe place where you can be the mom you actually are, and some relationships take a long time. And with some relationships, you may realize like this isn't the mom for me, and that's okay. And we're going to stay on first base, and it's going to be someone I can talk to at soccer practice, but it doesn't need to be like my best friend ever. And then sometimes you might meet someone where just immediately, like this person is worth investing in, like she and I just click. And so that's when you want to take it a little bit further.
That's a great point. I know for myself, I am not probably naturally an initiator, but over the years, I've just gotten better at it because that's important to me. And if people aren't initiating with me, what choice do I have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's good for you for being willing to do it, even though it doesn't come naturally to you. The thing that I hear from initiators a lot, the frustration, and I've had that myself as well, is when you keep asking people to do things and they keep telling you no. I mean, sometimes maybe you need to take a hint, but a lot of times, honestly, I don't think it's personal. It's not because she doesn't like your face. It's because a million reasons. She's busy. Maybe she was burned by a friend in the past and she's not ready to put herself back out there. It just may be that it's not the right timing, but it's not because of you. And so when you do get shot down for putting yourself out there with another parent, try not to take that personally. And when you're inviting people to do things, keep those expectations low so that you don't have as far to fall. Keep your expectations low, ask somebody out. And if she says no, it's okay. Like, it's okay. You'll ask her again, or you'll find someone else to ask. But I think it's better to keep trying than to just shut down and not do it. If I am not intentional with moms in my life, I can go my entire day just in my minivan with my kids driving around town and slide up the driveway into the garage, shut the garage behind me, and never interact with another parent. So we have to be intentional with these relationships if we want to have any. And sometimes that takes a little bit of awkwardness and it's a little bit challenging. And I have a couple chapters at the end of Women Are Scary about breakups because sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Like you were saying too, when someone asks you and says no, keep trying. But then also when you're on the receiving end of that, when you're being asked, I also say, I can't this time because, or even if I don't give a reason, I say, but keep asking. Or I'd love to go next time. Just let them know it's not you.
I love that. That's really helpful. Yeah. Because then it has nothing to do with me. It's just not the right timing for you. That's so encouraging for someone to hear.
You talked about learning about parenting choices once you're getting in the mix with your first and second best friends. And that can lead to learning that they make different choices than you and possibly judgment, at least in your head, on their decisions. Mm-hmm. I know that I've been bad at that, especially when my kids were really little and we were making different decisions than other people. I think I've gotten better. But how do we lighten up about that?
Yeah, I call that judge-parison. It's like you're comparing yourself to other moms and then you're judging other moms. Or like sometimes I prejudge moms. Like I think they're going to judge me. So I just judge them first in my head. Like it's not great. And so I do think we have to lighten up about ourselves and we have to go, not everyone's going to be like us. Not everyone's going to be the same, but we could still get along. We can still be in relationship with each other, even if we're different. And I do think, when you're getting to know moms, you're going to meet two kinds of moms. You're going to meet people who are like you and people who like you. So I have friends who like me, even though we're very different and I like them. And then I have friends who we are just so the same. And it's good to have a little bit of both. Like we don't want to just have only people just like us in our friend group. That makes life kind of boring and also kind of myopic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Melanie, we have been in a bit of a strange time.
Have we? Oh, wait, what?
And you have a whole chapter about cranking out mom dates. So getting together, making it happen any way you can. Mm-hmm. How do we crank out these mom dates in a pandemic?
In a pandemic. That has been so challenging. And back in April, a million years ago,
right,
I wrote a list of 20 ideas for how to make Zoom calls with your friends interesting. And I reread it recently and it still holds true. Sad to say. I'm like, really? We're still Zooming?
We're still here.
I mean, I'm pretty sick of Zoom. But I felt like we were, we'd get on a Zoom call, we would all complain about the pandemic and how hard this was, and then that would be it. And so I was like, there's got to be more. Like, what else can we do on these Zoom ideas? So I created a list of other things we could do on Zoom ideas. One time I showed up for a Zoom hangout with my friends and I just did a face mask while we were on there together. And so I looked like Jason, like I had a Jason mask on, but I was like, it's a good time to moisturize while we're doing these Zoom ideas. And I think we could do a lot through Zoom, even though it's lame. A couple other things that I have done in this weird time that we've been in. I go on rage walks with a friend. We call them rage walks because we're so angry and frustrated and everything has been hard for the last year or so. And so we started going on a walk, and she and I are kind of in a bubble together anyway, but even still we're on a path, we're separated, we're outside, not breathing on each other. And we walk, and about halfway through the pandemic, we were like, we need to double the length of the walk because this is not long enough. We don't have enough time to get through all of our rage. So we doubled the length of our walk. And it's just a time, probably the first half of the walk is just us spewing. And this about the kids, and this about all the emails from the schools, and this about virtual learning and blah, 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 and this about this thing getting canceled, and our vacation plans and our holiday plans are gone, and everything is, and we just spew. And it feels so good to get it all out with a trusted friend.
Yeah.
And then by the second half of the walk, then we're starting to get on our hopeful side. We've got the endorphins working and we're out in nature. And by the end, when we get back to our houses and we go our separate ways, we just feel cleansed, and there were a couple weeks where I had to skip the rage walk, and I could tell a difference like in my spirit that I missed having that time. And then another thing that I've done, my favorite, I love like going to a pub with friends and having some drinks like on a Friday night, listening to really great like 80s music, or like I like going out with my friends. And so that has been really hard to not have that this year. And so one thing that a few of us neighbors have started doing that has just been a godsend is I call it Church of the Fire Pit. And every Saturday night we gather around a neighbor's fire pit and we sit as couples 6 feet apart around this fire pit, and we just hang out and, have a couple beers and just sit there. One night we did like a bourbon tasting and we all brought our own bourbon and just to sit there around the fire pit and hang with neighbors and have a good time and just feel normal again, just in the middle of everything feeling crazy, to get together with these same friends every week on a Saturday night has really been such a godsend. So those are some ways I've been cranking out dates in the middle of a pandemic. So it doesn't look the same as it used to. And it's all outdoors. I miss going in people's homes and having people into my home, but we've managed. And when it's cold outside, that's what the fire pit is for.
I love all those ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Circling back around to our kids, what are some ways that we can help them develop healthy relationships?
Yeah. So I have a chapter on Calm the Heck Down on friendships, about lightening up about friendships. And so part of that is about lightening up about our own friendships with other parents, but then so much of that is lightening up about our kids' friends. And I think especially as they get older, it gets more and more challenging to do that, right? Like as your kids develop friend drama of their own, it's really difficult to not want to insert yourself into that. So one thing that I tell myself as my kids are going through relationship challenges and dealing with other friends is to coach from the sidelines and not get on the field. Mm-hmm. That as soon as mom gets involved, everything heats up, and whereas kids, they have friendship drama literally every day. And I don't know if you guys remember what you were like as kids, and some kids are more dramatic than others, that's for sure true. But I want to go through everything with my kid. I want to identify with some problem areas. I want to go, well, what slice of this is your fault that you need to apologize for and own and fix? And what part is their thing that you've got to let go and work through, and so I want to troubleshoot. I want to teach my kids how to be good friends and how to own their mistakes and how to apologize when they need to, and also how to protect themselves from toxic people and how to just go, you know what, this one's not working out, and walk away. And so I want to coach from the sidelines. I want to be doing all of that really hard and important work with my kids, but I don't want to get on the field. Like I don't want to get directly involved if at all possible, unless it's, like a clear bullying situation or something. But if it's just the natural tensions of kids learning how to be in relationships, I want to be involved with my kid, but then let them fight their own battles. And so that's one thing that I think has helped my kids develop healthy relationships and has helped me lighten up about their friendships is to be really involved in our home, but then when they walk out of this home, that they are fighting their own battles and they are figuring out their own relationships. So that's one thing. And then another thing that has helped me lighten up about their relationships is that I can't freak out about them. Especially as the kids get older, they're going to tell you things that just make you want to go scream into a pillow. And that's okay, but do that later. So I constantly find myself saying things to my kids like, I'm so glad you told me. Thank you for trusting me with this, and just staying really calm on the outside. And then after they leave, I can go scream into a pillow and freak out on my own. But I feel like kids are like ketchup bottles, like you give them a little tap. And if you are patient and you give them a little tap, you can get them talking, but you don't want to freak out the ketchup or it'll stay right up in that bottle and it'll never come out. So sometimes it's a slow pour with the ketchup, but it'll eventually come out. So I don't want to freak out on the kids. I want to thank them for trusting me. And I want to be a safe place where they can come and process their friendship dramas. I think teaching the kids to find friends who share our values is good. Not all the friends are going to have the same exact values that we have, and that's totally okay. But when they have a friend or two who kind of want the same things in life and have the same goals and have the same things they care about, it helps when they're kind of running in the same direction together. That's helpful. And then finally, I talk quite a bit in the chapter on friendships about phones and social media and all of that, which we didn't have when we were kids. And now we've got to navigate as parents for the first time and kind of figure out the rules on our own. Yes. And that's been interesting. So we've, had to figure out when to let them have phones, when to let them have social media. The nice thing about the phones is they operate like little LoJacks. You can figure out where your kids are using Life 360 at all times.
Am I tracking you right now? Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. You better believe it. And we'll even call and be like, hi, you told us you were going so-and-so place and we see you off the grid over here. What's going on? So that's a really nice thing about it. And we use the screen time settings so that they can't just have unlimited access to all their different apps. And so we can turn them on and turn them off as needed or give them a set amount of time. And then we make our kids turn in their phones by 9 and they get so mad because their friends have them a lot longer, but we're like, not that you don't need to be talking to everybody after 9. On the weekends, we might give them a little bit longer, but, it's interesting. I feel like with myself, I have a hard enough time setting my own boundaries with my phones and interacting on social media too much. So with my kids, I'm trying to teach them kind of the same thing I'm trying to learn myself as to how do we enforce boundaries with this thing that's very addictive, but can also be a wonderful tool. So I think we need to lighten up in a way about the social media and about the phones. But I think the way that we can lighten up about it is when we give ourselves and our kids decent parameters in that area.
Awesome advice, Melanie. I want to ask you the question that I ask all my guests, which is, what are your favorite 5? What are 5 things that you're wearing or watching or doing right now that are your favorites?
Okay, I can do this. The very first thing that comes to mind, I just got myself a pair of red and pink jammies from ModCloth, and they have vampire teeth all over them.
Ooh.
So they kind of look like hearts, like Valentine-y, but there's vampire teeth all over them. And I'm super into vampires and I love gothic horror. And so they make me so happy when I put them on, and they're super comfy.
Are you a Twilight fan?
Well, okay. I am like a closet Twilight fan. Wow. I did not see this hard-hitting journalism coming at me. Thank you. I read the entire Twilight series in 1 week after I lost my final embryos when I was like so sad I couldn't get off the couch. I just descended into the Twilight series and I read the entire thing in a week and it was wonderful. And I will always have happy memories about that. I like my vampires a little less, I don't know, glittery teen lusty, but but I really did enjoy the series at the time. I think it was what I needed right at the time. So, okay. So my pink and red, that was a long answer for just one. We have 4 more to get through, right?
Right.
Okay. So my second thing, I love Doc Martens. I have a black pair up to my knees and I have a yummy ruby red pair that I love. So I'm wearing my red ones right now. I pretty much wear Doc Martens almost every day. And then my third thing is my favorite scent. There is a perfume made by Abel, Abel, and they make a cedar scented perfume and I wear it every day and I love the smell of cedar. Like it just makes me feel like I'm woodsy, you know?
I like that.
Yeah, it's really yummy. So that would be my third thing. And my fourth thing is there's a cinnamon tea that I love. And I'm a coffee drinker, so that's embarrassing for me to say as well. But I drink so much coffee that I've had to like stop because I'm getting the shakes by the afternoon. Oh. So I'm switching to tea in the afternoon. And there's a cinnamon tea by Harney and Sons that I really love. And you can get it on the internet, but I just buy it at Target too. It's in a really pretty little orange tin that I really like. And I put that with a little local honey. What are we on? Is that 3 or 4?
That is 4.
That's 4. So I have one more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One more. Okay. The other thing that I use every day is Burt's Bees lip shimmer. I like it because it's got just a little bit of color and it's pepperminty, so it makes my lips tingly. And when I'm stressed out, I bite my lips. And so I try to always have that on to keep me from biting off all of my lip skin.
I think another guest has said that too. So you're not
alone. Really?
Yeah.
I'm not the only lip biter?
You're not the only Burt's Bees user.
Okay, fine.
Melanie, those are great. Thank you for sharing. I have loved talking with you. I love that, like you said, they're bookends and we're talking about making mom friends when your kids were little. And then you can flash forward to parenting when your kids are older and kind of feeling that whole span of time in there.
You know, that's what's cool just in talking with you for this time of realizing I wrote Women Are Scary for my kid, like about my kids when we were doing play dates and we were in the preschool years. And I love that book, especially if you have kids in the preschool years, like there's so much in there for that season. And then as your kids get older, your relationships definitely change and you become so much more wrapped up in your kids' schedules and carpooling and getting them to activities. And so your time changes. It just, and your relationships change a little bit with it. And so with Calm the Heck Down, getting to write about friendship a few years later, once I'm in the high school, middle school years, was really fun to do. So you've got, the whole spectrum of what I've learned about friendships and developing friendships from the preschool years all the way up to the high school years, just with those 2 books.
Well, thank you for coming on. I love hearing what you have to say about friendship in both categories. And I hope you have a great time with your 4th basers.
I will. Church of the Fire Pit.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. It was so much fun to talk with Melanie. She is a riot. And I loved so much of what she had to say, like her, wow, that's so awesome approach to give someone the space to share what's important to them, even though you might not feel the same way. I loved her pandemic mom date ideas and her thoughts on coaching our kids from the sidelines. Go grab Melanie's books. I highly recommend the 2 we talked about today. She also has a book on life's unfairness. I think we can all relate to that. And one on infertility. If you have a mama friend who needs this encouragement in her earbuds, please share this show with her. And be sure to save your spot for my upcoming workshop, The Gathering Project, a 5-day experience to plan, prep, and gather with your girlfriends. Go to girlstalkinglife.com/thegatheringproject and use code GTL50 for half off your registration. Friends, don't let the conversation stop when the show is over. Share your stories and start your own conversations with the girls in your life. I will see you back here in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for tuning in.